Big fight this past weekend. Devin Haney loses to Ryan Garcia, majority decision, knocked down 3 times. What was your thoughts on it?
Dev couldn't keep his hands in place, and it cost him. I mean, I know he knew the left hook was coming. It seemed like their plan was like to get under it, but with their height similarities, I don't know if that was the right thing to do. Well, obviously it wasn't the right thing to do. I think Dev could come back from this. Maybe he just needed to be humbled a little bit. Even down to, like, for me, one thing that stood out is Devin wasn't really using his jab. It was like he was coming out to, like, knock Ryan out, and that's not who he is. And then he had on, like, some sweater moccasin boots or something like that. I think, like, made by Essentials. Like, you a footwork guy. Like, that's Devin's strength. Defensively, his best strength defensively is his footwork. So it's like, you got on shoes that I wasn't sure if he could move in. And you know what I'm saying? It just, maybe he just needed to be humble and take everything a little bit more serious. Not to say that he didn't take this fight serious at all, but I think he slept on Ryan a little bit.
Do you think it was all the pre-fight antics that Ryan was doing, making himself seem like he done lost his mind?
Like he was high and drunk and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that had something to do with it. And then also their history, them having 6 fights together and being 3-3. And maybe him feeling like, you know what, it's the pros now. I'm going to go knock him out. I'm going to go show the world. Like, because Devin has a I'll go show the world type of mentality about him. You can kind of see that from a distance. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. But in order to do that, you got to take everything seriously. You're going to need your best foot forward every time. I didn't think that was his best foot forward. But, hey, Ryan just came back from getting stopped like that same time last year. Yeah. Teofimo came back from losing by decision and getting knocked down. You just got to get himself together and come back.
Now, a lot of people are criticizing Bill Haney for letting Ryan go through being overweight 3 pounds. Do you think that, you know, him not having to cut that last little bit and Devin having to cut that last little bit had some effect during the fight?
I do think Ryan was more healthier because of that. I think, yeah, that's a little bit cheating, but then again, nobody cares, right? It's one of them things where, like, yeah, he broke the rules, but everybody, if you look around and you see the comments and how people feel about it, like, just everywhere on the internet, wherever, like, it's one of them things that people overlooking. But I know one thing, if my son had a training camp and he wasn't concerned with making weight, he was only concerned with training himself to feel good in the fight, that's a whole nother person you're going to be dealing with than dealing with him having to make his weight accurately. So I think that it did help Ryan. Especially with his strength and his rehydration and just how he just felt. You know what I mean? As opposed to Dev having to get down in the weight and then rehydrate. It's a difference. It's definitely a difference.
As far as the adjustments, right? Or lack thereof during the course of the fight, couldn't really get around the left. Yeah, couldn't get away from the left hook. What'd you make of that?
I point back to this, right? After that fight, because I'm like a tape guy, I go back and I watch Shane Mosley versus Floyd. And when Shane Mosley caught Floyd, Floyd's hands was up after that. And then he kind of felt his rhythm and got a hold on Shane. But even after that, every time Shane was in the red zone, Floyd up here. It's a discipline, defensive responsibility. I think Devin he needs to work on his defensive responsibility some more. I think Devin, his whole career, always kept like great boxing minds around him outside of his father. Maybe they need to go back to that as well. I'm not saying Bill need to leave or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But maybe, you know, the Mickey Bay not being there, or, you know what I mean, the Mike McCullums and the Big Floyds and the Roys, maybe he need to go back to that, because that's what was working for them that got them where they are. That's why I say that. No disrespect to Bill at all.